Hello, are we good? All right. All right, well, thank you very much. I've got the honor to kick off today's event and to host the event as well. My name is Jesse Grossman, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Soltage, and we are an independent renewable energy provider. And we welcome you to our 2-megawatt facility today. I want to thank Governor John Carney, State Senator Stephanie Hanson, and all of the great people of Delaware that made this possible today. We're very pleased to host this historic event for clean energy as we celebrate the signing of Senate Bill 2 to transform community solar and community growth in Delaware. Community solar provides a path for local residents, businesses, and nonprofits, and other groups to access clean energy through a subscription service. Not everyone has a rooftop or suitable property in Delaware to host solar power, and roughly 30% of all Delaware residents rent rather than own their homes. Options like community solar are critical for making clean energy and cost savings it provides available to everybody. And one of the nice things about the community solar bill that's passed in Delaware is that there is a component of low and moderate income subscription, which is required with each and every solar asset that is created in Delaware, which means a minimum of 15% of the power generated from each and every solar asset in Delaware under this community solar program will be going to low and moderate income communities, which is a very important sort of equality point of getting solar assets put up in this state. Soltage has been an early advocate for affordable energy in the state of Delaware. We put this asset up in 2013, so 8 years ago. So it's great to come back here 8 years later and reflect on all that has happened in the nation and in the state of Delaware since that time. This type of legislation that is being put in place today is key for opening up markets, driving economic growth, driving investment, and driving job creation in the state. So thank you all who made this possible today. Now, the governor's asked me to say a couple of words about exactly what is behind us here today. And I'm not the technical person on our team, but as I told the governor, I can play one on TV and for 30 seconds at a podium from time to time. So what we've got here, I'll describe it across a couple of vectors. Number one, the size. This is around a 2-megawatt system. This used to be a pretty big system. It's thankfully no longer a very big system, but it's a sort of size that can fit in an urban or peri-urban area where you don't have a lot of open land that doesn't have another highest and best use. If this was not a brownfield and a landfill, you know, you would want to have residential housing on here. You'd want a hotel. I understood this at one point was a potential casino property. And none of those were possible because of the impacted nature of the soil. So we were able to put a solar asset on here, sized at 2 megawatts. At the time, this would have been a $9 million investment. Today, 8 years later, this would be a $4 million investment, which is a great testament to how we've been able as a nation, as we've scaled solar production and solar investment, to drop the costs down of creating this sort of asset. I'd like to give a good statistic about how many households or businesses this asset could provide. It would be around 300 households would be taken off the grid on an annual basis by an asset of this size. The power from this project is being sold to Home Depot under a contract for differences, a swap. There's no physical interconnection to Home Depot, and it's in a different part of this state. But what we do is you put it on the lines there, and it's a commodity. And so, in fact, you know, the local businesses and residences are using the solar power from this asset, but the financial transaction is happening with Home Depot miles and miles away, which is really in practice how the community solar program in the state of Delaware will work. One last point before I turn it over to the governor is you will notice that the solar asset behind us has cinder blocks. It's ballasted. Most solar projects, ground-mounted solar projects, you're sticking a pole of metal around 8 feet down to anchor it for wind and other events over the course of the day. Sometimes you can have tracking actuators on there, so they're tracking the sun as it goes across the horizon over the day. This one is ballasted because we are on a brownfield landfill, and you do not want to disturb what is below the ground. And so this is kind of an interesting engineering technique that is used for assets of this nature. So with that, I will conclude my remarks. Thank everybody for coming here today. We're so glad to host you. I'll turn it over to Governor Carney. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jesse. That was way cool. I thought that I knew every inch of ground in our state and had been there in person, but this is the first time I've ever been here and the first time I've heard an explanation of solar, community solar, like the one that you just gave. And this today we're going to I'm going to sign a piece of legislation finishing off the great work of many of the people standing behind me, those standing in front of me, and Delawareans across their state. I can't help but think about just a couple weeks ago, we responded to a community just a little bit over there on the northeast side of our city after they experienced an incredible flooding of their properties due to a unique and unusual storm, but storms that we're continuing to see across the East Coast and across this country and around the world, wreaking havoc in communities just like the little one not too far from here. Most of us understand that part of that is a result of global warming, and that is probably the most important issue that we as a state, we as a city and as a civilization face. And so the bills that we're signing today are small steps to address the reduction, the reliance on greenhouse gas emissions here in our state. Important ones. And we're going to, in the process, celebrate the sponsors, the leaders, the advocates that have made it happen. As I think about, we've signed a lot of bills. We haven't signed any bill with a number of people standing behind me, standing behind me. And I think that's an important message, which is that it takes all of us, right? It takes all of us working together to address this existential threat to our communities and to our planet. I love the sign right here that says there is no planet B, and that is absolutely right. I can't help but think about the commentary from astronauts who have traveled into outer space, looking back on our planet and recognizing how fragile it is. All of you and all the people standing beside me recognize how fragile our planet is and the threats that we all face. So it's really my distinct pleasure as the governor of our state to finish the great work of these legislators and the advocates who stand behind me and those across our state. I do want to single out in particular Senator Stephanie Hanson, who's been just an incredible leader. We're going to hear from her next. She's just been an incredible leader here on the community solar bill, an idea and a bill that was left on the legislative floor by former Senator Harris McDowell. Senator Hanson picked up that ball and ran with it with all of you, with Representative Bill Bush and the other sponsors in the General Assembly and all the supporters. And I think Jesse made it very clear to me the potential for this, the fact that the cost has been cut in half for, if I did my math right, about half in just a short period of time for this installation. Senator Hanson and other legislators behind me also provided great leadership in resetting our renewable portfolio standard, 40% of renewable energy by 2035. I think I have that right. And we're going to need lots of community solar installations to meet that goal, as well as individual homeowners putting solar arrays on top of their homes. As you travel around our state and other states in the region and across the country, you see more of these again and again, as well as wind energy installations at the same time. So again, it's a privilege for me to finish this great work. And with that, we're also going to sign Senate Bill 21, which will advance our efforts to transition to electric vehicles, another really big priority for us. So if you think about the challenges of reducing our reliance on greenhouse gases, the two big areas are in electricity generation and in transportation. We've made pretty good progress, and continue to make progress on electricity generation here in our state, we need to do a better job on transportation. And for us, I believe electric vehicles pose the real opportunity, since we don't have the densities of other states to make real mass transportation services economically feasible. But with that, I want to introduce Senator Stephanie Hanson, who's the sponsor of Senate Bill number 2, Senate Bill 21, and Senate Substitute 1 for Senate Bill number 24.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank Soltage for making this site available for us. It's certainly very telling for us to be here today, and for Wilmington City Councilman Nathan Field, who actually helped arrange for us to be here today, and kind of us meeting here today was his idea. So I want to give a shout out to Councilman Field about this. This was a great year for environmental and energy bills in the Delaware State Senate, and the Delaware General Assembly. The 3 bills that we'll be signing here today are also good companions to 2 additional bills that we had passed earlier. One, the governor mentioned the RPS bill, which raised our renewable energy portfolio standard, and another one being the ban on the sale of invasive species, which we passed as well. So altogether, we have the Senate Bill 2, which is the community solar. My sponsor in the House being Representative Bill Bush. We have the balloon bill, which is banning the mass release of balloons, which is 5 balloons or more, something that Plastic Free Delaware and many others in the marine studies area had been asking for a long time, and we really, really needed to do. And that was, we'll be signing that one as well here today. And I know we have Dee Durham, who is here from Newcastle County Council, who's also the chair of Plastic Free Delaware, will be speaking about that one. And we have Senate Bill 21, which is will allow further development of of electric vehicle charging stations throughout the state, by allowing the state to charge then for the cost of the energy. But you know, if you want to go fast, go by yourself, right? But if you want to go far, you go with a group. And that's really, I think, what a big part of today is celebrating, is the group of people that came together to get these bills, and particularly the community solar bill, off the ground. That was their community solar stakeholders group, continues to meet and continues to talk about energy policy issues, and is now advanced from being just a community solar stakeholders group to an energy stakeholders group. And we are not done. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of what we can accomplish. So we have a lot more to do. We are continuing to do it, so expect to see new legislation going in the future. So who's on the stakeholders group? Because I want to call them out specifically, because these are people that have given every other week hours of their lives to this issue, coming together, hearing from people on different sides of the issue to try to come to what are the next best productive steps on these issues, these big environmental and energy policy issues in our state. So who are they? Representative Bill Bush and Representative Deb Heffernan from the legislature, tremendous advocates. Our Public Service Commission, Raj Barua, who had been on the original Community Solar Stakeholders Group, has moved on. Now we are talking with Pam Knotts and Matt Hardigan. Our Public Advocate, Drew Slater, who I know is with us here today. Our Delaware Sustainable Energy Utility with Tony DePrima is a member of our group. Rob Underwood from DENREC, who is part of the chair of the Renewable Energy Task Force. We've got the Department of Justice represented through Marion Quirk and Catherine Devaney. The governor's office is there through Natalie Crescenzo. Of course, our Secretary of DENREC, Sean Garvin. We have the Delaware Electric Co-op has a seat at the table and are very active in this through Bill Andrew, their recently retired CEO, and now Dave Shapley. We have DMEC, who has been at the table actively talking about this. Pat McCullough, who is retiring now, Kimberly Schlichting. We have Delmarva Power at the table, because if you're going to talk about energy, you need to make sure everybody's at the table, right? Delaware's not just Delmarva Power. A lot of it is Delmarva Power, but DMEC and DEC, if you're not engaging the co-op and DMEC in these issues, that's half the state. You've got the other half of the energy equation. They have to be at the table, and they are. The Delaware Solar Energy Coalition, Dale Davis. The Cesar Rodney Institute, Dave Stevenson, because you have to make sure all voices are heard. That's why this legislation goes through unanimously or near unanimously. Environmental legislation doesn't generally happen that way, right? But if you bring everybody to the table and you give everybody a chance to talk about the issues that are important to them and why they stand where they stand, then you get everybody standing together and moving forward. And that was the idea, and that works. We had Frank Murphy from the Delaware State Senate and Carol Kirshner that were very helpful in putting it together. And of course, former Senator McDowell. We also have 3 people that were part of the, that are currently part of the stakeholders group that have been in the past, will in the future, who we're going to hear from today as well. One is Dustin Thompson, who represents the Sierra Club and the RPS Coalition, which is a coalition of 38 organizations in Delaware pushing for equitable energy policy. So Dustin's going to say a couple of words. We have Salar Naini from Turning Point Energy and the Coalition for Community Solar Access. This is a national trade organization of community solar businesses and nonprofits working to expand access to solar. And we have Mr. Jeffrey Richardson, who is the president and CEO of Imani Energy, that focuses on bringing solar and other renewable energy to low-income and communities of color. So these are the people. When I talk about the community solar stakeholders group now transitioning to the energy stakeholders group, this is the group that I'm talking about. And if there are other people that you believe, people and organizations that you believe need to be a part of that, I want you to call me and let me know, because this is a big area. We're looking at all different types of energy, and we're going to continue to look at all different types going forward, because you have to. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Let me know who else ought to be on here, and we can make sure that we bring them in and continue those discussions, because we want to go far. We don't want to, we'd love to go fast. We're going to try to go fast, but we want to go far. So with that, we will also have Councilwoman Dee Durham, who will be saying a few words on our mass balloon prohibition release bill, which is the Senate Bill 2024. So we'll be hearing from Councilwoman Dee Durham as well. So at this point, I will turn it over to our Secretary of DENREC, Sean Garvin.
Thank you, Senator. I've been informed that since it's such a light agenda that I have 15 minutes to speak, so everybody settle in. This is really an exciting day. I'd like to thank the governor and Senator Hanson and all the co-sponsors of these 3 bills. Transition to clean energy sources and electric transportation are key elements in reducing greenhouse gases. If you look at SB 21, which we affectionately refer to as Charge the Charger bill, it really is just a small piece of a much larger effort that we are undertaking here in the state of Delaware. 31% of our greenhouse gas emissions come from vehicles. So if we're really going to get a handle on our impact on climate change and what we can do here in the state, it's really electrifying our transportation grid. Our ability as a state to put electric infrastructure at state facilities and have those who are using it pay for those services, provide us an opportunity to expand that throughout the state of Delaware, which is a benefit to our employees and to our vast visitors that come to not only state buildings but state parks and everything in between. And so this is really a key piece to what is a very long effort, and as the members of the General Assembly and the governor knows, we've gotten some money in our budget. We also have a lot of federal dollars that have come in and will hopefully be coming in that will really help support that effort. And it's really a key piece to what we're doing here. And then there's the Community Solar Bill, SB 2, which really was a labor of love for Senator McDowell, my former senator, who did a lot of incredible work and passed the baton over to Senator Hanson and Representative Bush and others. And we look at community solar as an important piece to how do we get renewable energy into the state of Delaware, a very big piece of renewable energy. But it really is also about environmental justice. Those who have the ability to take advantage of renewable energy, and particularly solar energy, shouldn't just be the people who are well off and those who have a lot of land or have a rooftop that they can put solar panels on. We really need to make it available to all. And that's really what this bill does. It creates a dynamic that all Delawareans have an opportunity to have access to renewable energy, and it's critically important. And Jesse, you were talking about this land, and Governor, you had said you had was kind of the first time you were down in this area. I used to wear a different hat for a different environmental agency, and we were part of cleaning up this site and turning it into a brownfield. And at the time, we didn't envision solar panels being one of the many things when we talk about putting sites back into productive use. But you're seeing it more and more of taking these lands that have had negative impacts on communities and putting in infrastructure that directly benefits those communities, not just now, but into the future. And I want to recognize Dana Cobb, who is the director of our Climate, Coastal, and Energy Division. And when we talk about both the Charge the Charger and community solar, it's Dana and her team, Tom Noyes and others, who really did a lot of the heavy lifting from the department's perspective in supporting the efforts of all of those that are behind us and in front of us. So thank you very much, Dana, for all your work. And then lastly, before I turn it over to a good friend and colleague, I just want to touch on the balloon release bill. And a lot of folks think as balloons as being balloons when they let them go. But when they come back down, they are litter. They are contributing to harming our environment and harming our wildlife. And so this bill creates not only a law that says you're not allowed to do it. I think more importantly, it brings an awareness to people that sometimes something that is a commodity or a benefit when you have it in your hand becomes a waste later on, and we need to be conscious of that as we do coastal cleanups like the governor and I did last week. The amount of reports of things like balloons that people don't normally think of as pollution and harming our natural resources and our wildlife is often one of the things that we find. So I commend all of those who took a leadership on that. And with that, I want to introduce our next speaker, who is Drew Slater, public advocate. The public advocate and the department work very closely together when talking about energy issues, particularly when we're talking about renewable energies and how do we infuse that into our portfolio and do it in a way that makes sense for our consumers, but also moves the ball forward in both having a benefit on the wallets and pocketbooks of our citizens, but also has a positive impact on addressing climate change and really other public health and environmental issues. So with that, let me introduce Drew Slater, our public advocate.
Good morning. I want to thank Secretary Garvin and the Public Service Commission, especially Matt and Pam. You know, this is a total collaborative on the community solar bill that really wouldn't have happened without everyone behind us and so many more. And that really goes to Senator Hanson and the forums that she's created. We have spent countless time and many, many hours, not only on the forums, but outside of the forums, coming together, and especially with our state partners, with DNREC and the Public Service Commission staff, to really try and create a bill with everyone's input that gets to the heart of our issue, which is climate change. And so I just want to thank everyone up here for all of their help. And with that, I have the great honor to represent my representative, who is Bill Bush. And so I will ask you to come forward and thank you for your sponsorship of this bill.
Thank you. And, you know, all the comments that have been said today are so true. It was really the stakeholders working with Senator Hanson. And what I really want to talk about is just the true leadership of Senator Hanson. You know, when Harris McDowell was here, he was such a leader when it came to the environmental issues within our state, legislation. What Senator Hanson did when she started taking on the environmental bills in the Senate it's remarkable. It's incredible. The way she put these stakeholder groups together, her leadership, the ability to identify specific issues with these environmental bills and the community solar. She really went through piece by piece and identified the issues and made it better and came up with a great solution, working with the stakeholders. And I truly, truly want to thank you, Senator Hanson. And I think we can all look forward to a great future of what she's going to do with her stakeholder group and the environmental bills that are going to come out in the future. They are working hard now, and it's small steps. We go through certain issues that are out there, fix them, make them better, and as we all want to do when we become legislators is, when we leave this office, we hope that we have done something in the state of Delaware to make Delaware better. And I know for our children and for the future of Delaware, this is a great bill. And again, I just want to thank Senator Hanson. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. I'm Representative Krista Griffith and proud sponsor of SB 21, which is our electric vehicle bill. We need solar energy, but we also need electric vehicle energy to really help save this planet. And for the last 3 years, we've been working hard to get this bill passed and have it signed by you today, Governor Carney. Thank you to my colleagues, everybody who's here. It's the first step of many that we need to do to expand infrastructure so that we can reduce fossil fuel use here in Delaware. So thank you, and it's my honor to introduce Dustin Thompson, Salara Nayani, and Jeffrey Richardson, as well as Councilwoman Durham. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dustin Thompson. I am the Volunteer and Community Outreach Coordinator for the Delaware Sierra Club, which is the oldest environmental organization in the nation and a prominent voice locally for advocating for equitable renewable energy policies and combating climate change here in Delaware. We were honored to work with the 38 different organizations that make up the RPS Coalition, many of whom are here to celebrate with us today, and we wouldn't be here together without them. From the beginning of the journey, for those of us on the RPS Coalition and at Sierra Club, the big part of this bill and the Community Solar for All legislation that we're signing here today was specifically focused on solving the very major issue of bringing equity into access for renewable energy. We saw the opportunity that community solar provided to bring equity and access to solar, and we saw the great promise that it held to help those who need it the most. And we saw the great partnerships that we could build to help bring those benefits to all Delawareans. What we have done here is nothing shy of amazing, and it is in large part thanks to the dedication of Senator Hanson and the commitment of all those on the Community Solar Stakeholder Group to come together in good faith and work on a very difficult issue that has been trying to be addressed for many, many years. What we have created, I think, will become a model piece of legislation for how to build a community solar program that guarantees benefits to all, but especially to low-income families who pay a disproportionate amount of their income monthly to pay for energy costs. By requiring that every project guarantee on a regular basis that at least 15% of their clean, affordable energy is going to low-income families, we are ensuring that there is finally community engagement, that there is finally community education in low-income communities, and that the benefits of solar energy don't just go to those that can afford solar installations or that have broadband internet access and can easily be reached. We're getting it to those who are it's very difficult to get to, that it's very difficult to help, and that have been taken advantage of over and over and over again. We're finally bringing the benefits of renewable energy to those families. Together with Senator Hanson and others in the GA and the advocates here today, we have shown other states how you can bring everyone to the table and break down barriers to access for those families and get them the help that they need and deserve, all while helping to protect our planet and increase high-paying green jobs in their states. We are excited to see how this industry is going to progress in Delaware and the benefits that soon all Delawareans who choose to participate in this great program will be able to enjoy when they flick on their lights and know that the power coming through is coming from locally sourced, locally produced green energy. Thank you all very much to the advocates who helped make this happen. Thank you, Senator Hanson, for allowing us to be a part. Salar.
Good morning, everyone. First off, I just want to say how honored I am to be here today. This is a historic day, not just as it relates to the passage of SB 2 and community solar, but also the evidence of the clean energy revolution being shepherded through SB 21 and the adoption of clean energy vehicles, which collectively effectuate the goals set earlier this year through the Renewable Portfolio Standard. Today, not only does Delaware have a goal, but it also has a means to get there. Can we just take a moment to pause and applaud the governor and legislature for this very historic day? The clean energy revolution is here and charging forward, pun intended. Not only am I amped, but I am energized. And heck, I'm even electrified by the prospect of implementing community solar here in Delaware. It's now up to the industry to rise up to the challenge set forth by state government and deliver results that Delawareans can be proud of. I can attest that not only are we up for the challenge, but also humbled by the opportunity. We have a long way to go, but together we will beat the climate crisis. I also just want to acknowledge the fact that this legislation was passed during one of the most challenging times our world has ever faced in modern history. It took a lot of coordination and debate across many various stakeholders, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank some of those individuals. Thank you to all the members of the RPS Coalition, without whom we wouldn't have the grassroots support to make this happen. I also wanted to thank all the members of the administration, including Matt Hardigan, Pam Knotts, Drew Slater, Marion Quirk, Rob Underwood, Tony DePrima with the SCU, Dustin Thompson with the Sierra Club, Jeffrey Richardson, Dale Davis with the Delaware Solar Energy Coalition, who unfortunately could not be here today, Ann Linder with Delmarva, Representative Bush, Governor Carney, but most importantly, Senator Stephanie Hanson. We would not be here today if it wasn't for her leadership. Her stakeholder process has been very unique and is a true testament and example of how democracy in the modern day and age. Please, one more round of applause for these folks. Thanks again for the time, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with all you in the future. Thanks. Jeffrey Richardson.
Secretary Garvin used his 15 minutes, so I'm up against my departure time. So we're going to have to sign these bills. We've got a couple other folks that have remarks to deliver, but if I don't get out of here in 2 minutes, I'm going to be in big trouble. So, look, this is a big deal. It's a big deal that has received great leadership from Senator Hanson and her colleagues in the Senate and the House. The imperative for us, I think, is clear. The challenge is great. But I think what you should see from all the folks that are here and behind me, that the will is there here in the state of Delaware, and we're going to do our part. All right, so we've got, as has been said, 3 bills to sign, all with the main prime sponsor, Senator Hanson. The first bill is Senate Bill number 2. The community solar bill. You've heard how much work went into the development, the stakeholder group, the ball being passed from Senator McDowell, the important opportunity it gives us to move to renewable energy here across our state. Great work by Senator Hanson and her colleagues. I ask you to hold that one. Next is Senate Bill 21. This should be the electrification bill. Again, Senator Hanson, Representative Griffith, great work. Another step in the direction of clean energy in our state, particularly on the transportation side. I should mention that our Department of Transportation is doing incredible work moving towards electrifying our transportation network in our state. And with the federal resources, hats off to Senator Carper, Senator Coons, Representative Blunt Rochester. We're going to get additional revenue, hopefully, from the infrastructure bill that's passed this House, I want to say, maybe the Senate. And then, again, the bill that reduces balloon releases in our state to keep our state safe and clear and protect our wildlife. Just incredible work by Senator Hanson and her colleagues. And this one will go to D. There we go. Final word to all the advocates. Thanks for your great work. Look forward to working with you on more legislation in the future. Have a great day. Stay dry.